Jorginho, 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 Jorginho. What an 8 minutes at the end. That was incredible.
Right, can anyone guess which one of us was at the game and which one of us was not at the game?
Woo! Ric Flair. Woo!
So, how are you feeling?
Exhausted. It's been, this week has been so emotional. And the game sort of summed up how we're all feeling, because the first 75, 80 minutes was slump. And then the last 15, 20 minutes was just sheer will and desire and chaos and luck, massive amounts of luck. We're not gonna try and cover that up, but just the scenes at the end, and yeah, wow. It felt like a massive privilege being in that away end at the end of that game today. That was incredible.
You love a narrative. You didn't anticipate that. You didn't anticipate that Martinez narrative, did you?
What happened to Martinez was poetry. It was so funny because he is such a wind-up, and he's such a wind-up merchant, and he was time wasting. And Simon Hooper, the referee, more on him later, he did the classic referee thing of
84 minutes.
Stop time wasting. And then in 84 minutes, I'll book you, knowing full well that you won't waste time enough for me to then book you again. Whereas Taylor, who we praised, when we spoke about the Man City game afterwards, first half, no, not having that. Come on, get on. There's a game to play here.
But
totally different.
But Simon Hooper added 6 minutes. Taylor added 5 at the end of the match.
Simon Hooper's not adding the minutes. Simon Hooper's not the one in charge of the minutes. And if you tot it all up, 6 minutes is still a massive underestimation.
Yeah.
We saw so little football today.
Even the commentators were saying that on like about 55, 56 minutes, they were saying it's only a matter of time before he gets booked. So if impartial commentators... Yeah, if impartial 30 minutes later, if impartial commentators are saying that, then it's blatant.
It was bad. But more than that, because the time wasting thing is the time wasting thing. I saw a stat online in the car on the way home. 3 of the 4 keepers in our last games, that's terrible English, but there you go. I'm sort of out of it. Out of 3 of our last 4 games, 3 of those keepers have been booked for time wasting. So that's the tactic now. Let Arsenal have the ball, sit tight, let them pass around. When we get it, we slow it right down. Because when the game's fast and when the game's open, we can't live with them. And so that's what they're doing. And that's fine. That's fine. But the worst thing was the treatment of Saka. Yeah. It's getting ridiculous now, the amount of punishment he is getting. And he's not the first, and he certainly won't be the last. I remember Hazard grew into that player at Chelsea, where he would finish the game and his socks would be in ribbons because studs had just been hacked at his cards. Gareth Bale suffered the same sort of treatment.
So why isn't Arteta saying something about it?
Why isn't anyone saying anything?
Well, exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're getting charged every other bloody game by the FA for things that other teams seem to do routinely as well, but they just seem to throw a dart at the dartboard to decide who gets the fine, and it just happens to be us all the time. So do you know what? Sod the 60 grand fine or whatever it is. Every time Saka's booked, round the ref. Why is that not a foul? That's about the 4th one, the 5th one, the 6th one, the 7th one. That stopped an attack. That's deliberate foul. Why is he not getting booked? It is ridiculous. I don't know how he finished the game, let alone finish the game so well. And
he was limping.
Man of the match.
He was limping for large parts of it.
Massive.
But I think, look, we know the deal. We've got to put more pressure on the officials, as in not in game, but Arteta needs to be making a big play of it.
And maybe you will, because
he needs to get the commentators talking about it. He needs it to become the story.
We all do. Because
it's not happened.
Well, I know it hasn't happened, but
Arsenal fan base is kind of shouting, screaming it into an empty room.
There's no two ways about it. He is refereed differently.
Yes.
And I don't know why it is. I don't know why it is. It just doesn't make any sense.
Because no opposition fan dislikes him. So it's not like a personality thing.
Yeah, they're not getting on his case, making out.
You've got
Zaha gets flack for.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, but Saka will start, feigning injury. He'll start doing it, or feigning contact and so on, because he's not getting the protection. So he'll start taking it into his own hands.
Well, and then compared to other teams, I don't see us, and it might be my rose-tinted spectacles on it, but we're not such. Look, all modern footballers are very light on their feet, if we're being honest. But we're not. We don't seem to make such a meal of things the way other individuals or teams might do, and that might play against us.
Here's a statistic. Before this game started, Saka was the 51st most fouled player in the Premier League. So
what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
The guy who's tweeted that is a journalist, but he's a big Arsenal fan, and he was tweeting it because he was surprised, because he was expecting Saka to be much higher up that list of players fouled, because his eyes were telling him one thing, and that statistic seemed to imply something else. So it's obviously the nature of the foul that is the issue, and you can't measure in numbers. Then if a foul in your own penalty box is not going to carry the same weight as a foul, a kind of your final third breakaway attack, and you bring a player down there. There's different context is everything, but Saka's a forward player. Most of the fouls on him will be in the attacking third. And
it's not so much the fact that I could perfectly believe that there are lots of other players who are fouled more, but it's not even so much that the foul is there. It's the way that it's treated. It's the fact that, and actually the fouls will be given. He will be fouled and he'll be on the floor, and the referee will give a free kick, but he won't book anyone. They're just not booked. No one is booked. Because actually the fouls on Saka, they just seem to be more egregious. They take him down. They stop him in his tracks. They risk injury.
It's a compliment, as in he's clearly our danger man. 17. Hang on, I'm not sure exactly. Right at the end, 17 of our last in 17 of our last 19 Premier League games, he's had a goal or an assist. He's clearly
on fire. He's on fire at the minute.
He's kind of carrying the team in terms of goals and assists.
He was the only one in that first half who was going to do anything of note, because everyone else was really flat.
And did. Now listen,
did.
I didn't see the first half. I had too much chaos here. But I did watch the second half, and something you said at the start there, that the first 75 minutes was slump, and then the last 15, 20 minutes was kind of wonderful chaos.
Well, I mean, it felt like that. The second half was a major improvement.
We also had enough chances to win 3 games.
Well, I mean, let's not Odegaard's miss. Everyone around me would just that was it.
And that's a good nod to Eddie for creating that. But Eddie himself again missed two gilt-edged chances.
You had the 3 against Man City.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a striker who should have at least 2-3 goals.
Yeah.
And it's just so frustrating. The intensity from Eddie has dropped. When we came away from the Spurs stadium, having beaten them there, I was transformed. I was now an Eddie believer, and it wasn't his finishing. I don't think he was anywhere near the box and
it was more his Jesus.
But it was everything else he was doing. Whereas the last couple of games has felt like he's returned to the mean, and the player I assumed he was, which was just kind of like, I'm going to wait in the middle and see what sort of crops up. And none of that pressing, none of that work rate, none of that skill, none of that, just, or not none of it. He did have flashes, but just I don't know. There was
Yeah, I mean, he
something
set up.
off,
He created that chance for Odegaard, who should have buried it,
but should have finished one himself.
and should have finished two, at least two himself. It's yes, so. But we did create enough chances. So I don't think we were as bad as. I mean, what was interesting is that Villa were, again, like you noted, time wasting, and this is a home team playing against a wounded animal. But all I can take from it is exactly my takeaway from the Man City game. Not me personally, the emotional response during the game and immediately afterwards, but in the cold light of day, Arteta's post-match takeaway saying that he's now more convinced about this team. And again, I think today, wow, that was a huge game. That really, talk about overcoming obstacles and kind of laying out your mental capabilities for all to see. To come off the back of 3 games without a win, the Brentford game where there was a sense of injustice, but we didn't play well enough to warrant a win. But that's irrespective. We still were on the receiving end of an injustice. The Man City game, which must have been taken so much out of the players, and to ultimately lose 3-1, and knowing you wasted chances and you gifted them 2 goals. That to then pick yourself up, go 1-0 down after 5 minutes. Now, I although I couldn't watch it, I knew that we were 1-0 down after 5 minutes, and I know how I felt.
And I tell you what, look, seeing it live, they were the worst goals we've conceded this season. In terms of, it was really quite a pathetic showing defensively from us. No one came out of that with any glory at all, and that's why it's the first time there's been real, not despondency and despair, and it wasn't to that extreme, but there was a real sense of this is not good, amongst the away fans, because it was just the nature of the way we conceded. And yeah, there was a slight dropping of the shoulders. There was a bit of reaction after they scored their first, but again, we sort of gifted. And that's not to say Buendia's sort of dummy for the second goal is very good.
It made the goal.
He's an horrible little player, but he is a good player. And Ollie Watkins is just, he's got a hoodoo against us.
He just likes scoring against us.
And did very well. But yeah, poor all round from us. People getting beat, ambling back towards their own goal. No one really taking responsibility. Just it felt soft. Even Ramsdale committing early to the sort of dive.
But what was good was the immediate response to the first goal, to get that equaliser quite soon, within 8 minutes or whatever it was really important, and to score from open play as well. It kind of just reminded us that we could.
Yes.
And and then that they were time wasting. I just thought it hands. I just cannot take it as anything other than a compliment and a real sign of encouragement that look, they're worried about us. Teams are now, if it's a deliberate instruction to a goalkeeper to take as long as you can over goal kicks and whatever, then the tactics against us are becoming quite desperate. So when we were following the Wenger teams around, we won so many games in the tunnel before the game even started, and it's interesting. We're not at that level. We don't have that kind of prestige behind us right at the moment. But I tell you what, it's getting there. Look at the way Man City celebrated their goals and win against us on Wednesday night. That's Man City.
Yeah. And I take that, but it's hard also not to see some of the flaws. But and even the look.
But Wenger teams. How many in the Invincible season? How many draws? 16 or something was it? Yeah. I don't know. Henry used to get so much dogs abuse from the Arsenal fans for all the chances he missed. I'm not going to. Look, the guy as a player walked on water and was an absolute legend, and it was an absolute joy and privilege to watch him live pretty much every game he played for the club. He still missed an awful lot of chances and got a lot of stick for it as well, pre-Twitter days, obviously. So people weren't that aware of it, but in the grounds you were aware of it. And so we're not going to get perfection. That pursuit of perfection is what we like. Make your mistakes, learn. We've got a 21-year-old centre-back. I thought Gabriel made a great block in the second half, which was not block, a tackle, and that could have been a goal. Ramsdale, I think
save.
Two shots on target, 2 goals at one point, but then his save where he got a fingertip up onto the bar, that was 3-2 down with 15 minutes to go, or 8 minutes to go, 82nd minute that was. So they made, they Ramsdale could have done better on one of the goals. Saliba could have done better on. He could have been more aggressive and more proactive in his defending of one of the goals, but ultimately that's going to happen. Away to Villa is not the easiest place to go, and the narratives were there with Emery and Martinez as well. But look, my sister messaged me and asked me, "Did I enjoy the football today?" And I was like, "No, obviously." She said, Not even the last minute." I said, "Well, the only time I enjoyed it was when when the ball hit the back of the net. When I saw Martinelli throw his arms in the air, celebrating first, I was like..."
Not even you didn't enjoy the Jorginho Martinez problem?
No. I of course I enjoyed it, but I didn't in the moment. But straight away, I'm thinking, looking at the clock, I'm thinking 3 minutes.
Oh, we all were.
And then they go and get a corner, and Martinez comes up, and I'm like, "You are joking me." I did think, obviously,
you know what's funny about that? There. I hadn't even seen that Martinez had gone up.
Oh, right.
There was the problem. We were sort of, it went like a wave. Jorginho. Everyone's getting kind of desperate. Jorginho's goal goes in, and I've never seen a celebration in the away end like it. I mean, I ended up in the row in front. It was that kind of celebration, and then it sort of kicks off, and there's still people going mad, and then there's a few other people calming down. It goes out for a corner, and then all of a sudden there's this weird kind of hush, and it goes quiet because everyone's gone, "Oh, hang on a minute, this is not quite done."
Yeah.
And then we break away, and it's only then I sort of go,
notice there's no goalkeeper.
There's no goalkeeper, and he puts him through, and we're all just stunned by it. Yeah. And I love the clip. We didn't see it at the time. Have you seen the clip of Vieira? My God! I want that. Just I might get that tattooed on my arm. Or
isn't that great though? When you see that reaction from a player who hasn't probably played the amount of minutes he would have wanted in his first season.
No, but he's also be disappointed with the minutes he's had and all those sorts of things. And he's desperate to prove himself. And there's definitely a player in there.
Yeah,
but they're all invested. They're all
completely. It's like the faces on the dugout behind Arteta when there's a replay of the Ødegaard miss in particular. The pained expressions.
Did you read about the analysts?
Yes, I know I did.
Oh my God. The fact that the analysts are scrapping in the press box tells you everything you need to know. And what makes me laugh is our analyst has celebrated going up and scoring, and the Villa analyst has got a problem with that. And it's like, hang on a minute, that's football. It's obviously he's supporting his club. Just wind your neck in. It seems weird. But Vieira, oh my God, just the way you go, yes. And Gabriel.
It was a good pass he put him through.
A brilliant pass.
Yeah, so
because Martinelli doesn't have to do a huge amount with it. Take it in his stride. Run through.
He should not have celebrated before he.
He absolutely should have celebrated because it's absolutely boiling the piss of everyone. TalkSport, Gabby Agbonlahor, Richard.
Oh, is it?
They're all off again, aren't they? They're all off again. Do say whatever you like, guys. Did Richard Key say anything about De Bruyne pushing Arteta in the Man City game inside Arteta's I don't know. I mean,
technical
I
area?
don't follow him, so unless someone else retweets it or whatever, I mean, why would I even pay attention to that? Absolutely
no.
But there you go.
So the team news at the start. I guess we all called it. I mean, Ben White and Trossard in for Martinelli and Tomiyasu. Ben White won all day long. I think he's. Oh, they had a slight dip in form. I would play him every game. Like I think he's
when
really
he got
good.
taken off, he was not happy.
I didn't really focus. I just focused on him walking around.
He walked around the pitch, but he was definitely not happy. And do you know what? He played okay defensively as a unit. They weren't brilliant, and we just kept. The problem is that they did the classic thing that Mourinho's Chelsea used to do, where sit tight when you get the ball, hit it diagonally. Because what will happen is the centre back will come out because Arsenal will just like to push their fullbacks on. So the centre back will get dragged out, and the runner, who it would be at Chelsea, it was Eden Hazard. Today it was Ollie Watkins. They will chase it down. They'll get there before the centre back. By which time, 2 or 3 midfielders have then come back to occupy it, and it just depends how switched on Arsenal are to try and catch up. And several times we weren't switched on enough. We weren't intense enough in trying to recover those sort of positions. And to say it's the fault of Ben White is not really fair because it's just the system that we play.
Yeah.
Saliba obviously covers that side.
And I think you're nail on head there with the system because Trossard came in and experienced the same difficulties that Martinelli's experienced because the system stayed the same. There was if you really wanted to get the best out of Trossard, you maybe perhaps should have started with Tierney instead of Zinchenko. Because Trossard would have come in naturally and then Tierney could have overlapped on the outside and it might have offered something different.
Zinchenko's a funny one as well because we were saying with my friend Joe, who I was stood next to, we were saying actually he's not been right since City in the Cup, Zinchenko. And we wonder if there was a bit too much invested in that. And, he's just looked a bit, not off form, but just not his usual sort of like high standards. And today, again, he reflected the team really and what happened. Where the first half, nothing was really going right. He was picking up those positions in midfield, but not having a huge amount of joy because essentially Villa were trying to bypass that anyway. And then in the second half, there he was. He was back again, and he was everywhere, and he was nipping balls away, and he was laying off passes, and then he scored an absolutely brilliant goal.
Some shot that was.
Well, it's great, absolutely great. Well worked corner because we realised that actually putting a corner in the middle just was doing nothing against Mings, who actually played quite well, I thought. And was it Konza, the other centre back? I can't remember. Again, they played quite well. So taking the short corner and then trying to find people on the edge of the box worked, and it was the way to go. So their problem solving during the game was just great.
And that's his first Premier League goal.
Whatever.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Wow. Good. Well, I'm glad he scored it for us. And that's the thing. There's a few things where we've got that win. Zinchenko's got a goal. Jorginho's got a goal. And
Jorginho hasn't got a goal.
Right, okay. Jorginho has embedded himself amongst the Arsenal.
He's part of the family now.
He's in. Yeah, basically. My favourite chant, and I'm not sure it'll ever catch off, but it was, "Thank you very much for your Chelsea reject. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much." Which won't take off, but I did hear that and I found that quite amusing. So
yeah, that's a bit too raw still, I think.
Although, we're obviously here to talk Arsenal and the Villa game, but what about some of the other results? Chelsea again. We scored more goals in injury time today than they have in their last 5 games.
If only they should have spent some money in January, shouldn't they?
Free Mudryk.
Well, he didn't start today. He didn't start. I'm assuming he came on, but he didn't start. Man
City.
Well, no, let's sod Chelsea because that's just a
that's just funny. It's just funny.
Man City, oh my!
We were listening on the radio.
If you think with say the 84th minute of both games, we're getting a point. We're 2 points behind City with a game in hand, and then I mean I can't. I'm looking for everyone is looking forward to match of the day later to see. Apparently, City had 22 attempts on goal, and they were like,
"Well, that's it." We were listening in the car driving away, in the M6 traffic or whatever, and it just sounded on the radio like one-way traffic. just sitting on top, which apparently it was. So when we finally we had actually stopped to grab some food, and one of the guys was just checking his phone while we were waiting for the food, and he said Forest have equalised. We were all like, "What? Are you kidding?" And that was it. It was just refresh. So, honestly, what a result that is. I mean, Forest, no one gave them a hope, but actually,
no, they're missing their two first choice centre backs.
Yeah, you
as
told
well.
me Bolly's out, and
and
so I just assumed that was it. What? I mean, their season's turning out to be absolutely magic. You know, there you go. Right, Steve Cooper is at Forest, where they've bought literally a whole squad. You know, a squad and a half of players, and he's getting something out of them. Graham Potter at Chelsea has spent £1 billion, and it's not going well, is it?
I think that's the point, though. He hasn't probably, mind you. I don't know how much Steve Cooper's had to do with the purchasing of those players either.
Because a lot of them are linked to the owners' links with Olympiacos, aren't there? There's lots of buyback loans and obligation to buys and all these other sort of clauses. But you know, some decent sort of Premier League players in there.
But yes, Chelsea at home to the bottom club lost 1-0.
That's the thing. It's just brilliant.
I mean, I love it. I mean, you know, they've earned thoroughly everything they get.
I spent far too much time, because Chelsea's official Twitter account put out obviously that full-time Chelsea 0, Southampton 1, and a picture of João Felix looking a little bit sort of tired more than anything. Just scrolling the comments, just drinking it in.
Potter out, is it? Potter out.
It's very much Potter out. Yeah. What's great is though, and again, it would have been exactly like it was for us, and we've been through it. You know, we were all there with Wenger out, and we've lived through it, and it was horrible. And I would have sympathy for Chelsea fans, but I don't like them, so it's fine.
No, I have no.
For every 10 or 15 Potter outs, there would be one person going in. Oh, but he just needs a bit of time. I think he just needs a bit of time, everyone. And of course, 50 replies. No, you don't need time. Rubbish. Blah blah blah. Oh, it's just great. It's just so funny.
Yes, I did say at the end of like the last podcast, I did say I thought we'd win our next 3 games. I said
we've won. We've won one in bizarre fashion, but we've won one.
Yeah.
We just needed to win. Everyone was saying, don't care how it happens, we just need to win. Now, if
we deserved to win it as well. On the balance of the game, you look at the statistics in the match.
Yes. Right. Okay. Here's the thing. Had we at 90 minutes drawn 2-2, I wouldn't have felt a massive sense of injustice. I wouldn't.
You'd be disappointed though.
I'd be disappointed. I still wouldn't have.
I'd be looking at the missed chances and thinking, Eddie.
Yeah, but
each of us, we both hit the woodwork. I'd be saying that was another missed opportunity.
And absolutely right. And it would have been different levels, isn't it? Where Villa are and what they need, they would be looking at a point against the team in the top 2 as a positive, and what they did was quite good in patches, and we would be looking at it as a disappointment. But actually, those missed chances are part of a trend of we need to kill games off. We need to get that lead.
Except the Brentford draw would have been a far more just draw than
on the balance of play.
Yeah, than the draw today.
Except it was more injustice because we had conceded a goal that was perfectly offside. I mean, it's just one of those. The base level of performance does need to raise, and that is in terms of conceding goals. We're conceding way more. That gone are the run of clean sheets and solid defending. So something needs to shift there. I think what I noticed today, what Jorginho does well, he does well in possession. And actually, those transitions, when a pass is missed or when a player does manage to pinch his pocket, his recovery is just not the same as Partey's.
He's not as physical, is he?
But in terms of his nous with the ball, actually, he was the one. He was probably more. It's hard, isn't it? Because Odegaard for the last sort of third of the game was excellent. Was so excellent. But actually, first half, and again, something I said to people around me was Everton and Brentford doubled up on our wingers. So Saka and Martinelli had nothing. They had barely a sniff. Whereas today, it felt like they were trying to cut the sauce from Odegaard far more. And Saka had a bit more room to play in, got his goal, cut inside, could be a little bit more incisive. So they were trying to cut off the sauce from Odegaard, which is where I think actually Jorginho had quite a positive game, because he was then the person in midfield kind of pulling the strings, and did quite well.
And
where it was a problem was where the pass would get intercepted, or someone would kind of pinch his pocket, and then all of a sudden Villa could do their quick break and play it forward, and we just didn't recover as well as we could. So I think with Jorginho in the team, we might be at even slightly more risk of conceding, and we therefore have to maybe think about withdrawing the fullbacks a bit more, just maybe playing with a little bit more caution if need be. Or do you know what? Actually, again, I read this online. Maybe the back line has to play even a little bit higher to try and compress the formation, and it might mean playing more of an offside trap and having to recover at speed.
Bit of a risk.
Well, it is a big risk, but I don't know. I think this team works better on the front foot. I don't know. We've got a week now.
Yeah, Partey might be back.
Partey might be back, but also, we've got a week. It'll be a good time for us. Leicester play tomorrow, and we'll probably think there's a really good opportunity to play Man United after they played Thursday night against Barcelona.
Yeah.
So they're going to go.
They're on good form. Yeah.
Tete they've signed is a revelation, and Maddison is just the player that makes them tick. So yeah, we have to hope that I don't know.
It's a tough game away, but it's on a similar level to away to Villa. You look at away to Villa and away to Leicester, and you think, there's equal kind of, what's the word? Not danger, but
concern.
With
and it's funny, playing teams at certain times really does matter. Man City playing Forest, before the World Cup, they walk away with 3 points, no problem. But Forest now are a different proposition. And yes, they were on top and will probably feel that they should have won the game. But Forest didn't let it get away from them, stayed in it, took their chance, and they've got the draw. Leicester, we played at the start of the season, and they were awful.
Yeah.
They were awful. I mean, Ward, the keeper, I'd argue it's probably one of the worst goalkeeper performances I've seen in the flesh.
Yeah.
But now their defence is a little bit more solid. He's got better centre backs in front of him. That Face, is it Face? Fayes?
Yeah, the guy with the 2 own goals at Liverpool.
Yes, but he's settled down. Own goals can happen. That is what it is. And they've
asked
signed
Martinez.
Yeah, exactly. They've signed that Harry Sutter, who was doing brilliant things at Stoke, but also had a really good World Cup with Australia, and has just given them more of a presence. And they just look a different side. So playing Leicester now will be a completely different proposition to what it was earlier in the season. And we just need to be aware of that. We've had our scares. We hope that dip suddenly lifts and we can see where we go.
Well, we're certainly going into the Leicester game in a far better place than we were going to the Villa game today.
And those celebrations in that away end was just incredible.
I don't know. I've seen it several times. I think you sent it to me as well. The video, the film of the footage of the away fans, upper and lower tier from opposite.
Yeah.
At the moment, the Jorginho assist went in.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
And
there we were as well.
I think there's a Twitter handle or Twitter thing called Footy Limbs.
Yes,
and they've been retweeting it, like
absolutely.
scenes.
It was brilliant. What a day!
Yeah, that
was match of the day.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
I'm going to sleep.
It was like the Villa results not, winning away at Villa. If you've got notions of Champions League qualification, you should be winning away at Villa. Okay,
Yeah.
if you've got title ambition, you should definitely be winning away at Villa. Okay, so we won away at Villa, right? Now, ignoring, like, this is just like an objective, unemotive, a kind of an approach to today. So we did nothing that we shouldn't have done today. Okay, the manner was like very Arsenal-esque, and knowing that the 93rd and 98th minute goals were crushing blows to all City and United fans and Spurs fans alike, it just brings more joy. But what we didn't or couldn't have expected or anticipated today was the 2 points dropped by City, which is not the cherry on the icing on the cake. It's whatever is above the cherry. I don't know. It's like, it's so unexpected.
Yeah.
At no point until Chris Wood scored in the 84th or whatever it was minute did I think there was even a remote chance of City dropping points.
No.
Right. That last 5 minutes plus 4 minutes stoppage time, I was pacing. I was trying to keep myself busy doing like nothing, counting numbers. I don't know, counting scuffs on a wall. I don't know what I was doing, but it was like, come on. Because then it was like, because that is unexpected. That would be a bit of a sucker blow to them after them beating us on Wednesday. Also gives every other team. One of the things that I got a bit deflated about on the Thursday was thanks to Albinho, when he mapped out the remaining fixtures, and it looks like City had a far kinder remaining 16 fixtures than we did, or 15 fixtures than we did. And today we had the harder game, away to Villa's, more difficult than away to Forest, you'd have to say, and yeah, we got the 3 points of City drop points. So that's the unexpected gift of today, is the drop points by City, which, puts us back with a bit of a gap, a 2 point lead with the game in hand. And that game in hand is home to Everton. Now, Everton won again today. Big win. That was your old 6-pointer, wasn't it? Everton Leeds. And they won again today. So I'm not saying it's a guarantee, just turn up and get the 3 points and go home again. However, like I said, if you've got ideas about top four, you should be winning at home to Everton. And if you've got ideas about winning a title, then you have to be beating Everton at home. It's not like, I don't know who City have next weekend. I have no clue. Bournemouth away. Yes, it's Bournemouth away, and then it's Newcastle at home. But with Newcastle have no players left. Is Nick Pope out for that game as well?
Listening, I only heard the first half on the radio. That sounded like your classic team have got one eye on a cup final.
Yeah, now he misses it, and
Dubravka's cup tied.
Yeah.
So Loris Karius is going to come in and win the cup for Newcastle against Man United, having lost the Champions League for Liverpool with concussion.
Yeah, I hope
narrative.
So. No,
the best player in Europe. Narrative.
And so that means Nick Pope misses the City game as well, then probably.
Well, I don't know how the ban works, because
it'd be 3 matches, wouldn't it, or is it one?
It would be one, wouldn't it? 3 matches is only violent conduct, is it?
Is it? So straight red isn't.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, no. So okay, if it's only one, then he's back for that. Yeah. Right, okay, under 40 minutes, wicked. Right, is it match of the day yet? No, we've got an hour and 10 minutes for match of the day.
We are top of the league. Say we are top of the league. Jorginho. Oh, wow. Honestly, I still haven't come down from it. I've still got that kind of like butterfly feeling in my chest because it would just got all too much with that third goal. I don't think the away end has erupted like that that I've been to live. And today was officially the day where I ticked off all the current Premier League grounds.
Did you know? Is there a screen at Villa Park?
Yeah.
Did you know the ball had come back off the crossbar and hit?
Yeah.
and hit
You could see
Martinez.
it. We were looking right across at it. It was brilliant.
Because
Amazing.
it was karma. That's what it was. Karma.
It's so funny.
Knowing he will be absolutely devastated.
Emmy is a gooner. Emmy is a gooner.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Go and have a cup of tea. Try and calm down.
I've had 3 since I got back. I've probably had too much caffeine as well.
Right. Okay.
Right. I'm gonna go. I don't know.
Mark some books.
I'll mark some books. Yeah.
There you go. Mark some books. Right.
Back to work on Monday. Oh my god.
We'll catch up again on Saturday evening, maybe next week. Are you going to Leicester?
No, not doing Leicester. So whenever.
Okay. So yeah, and it's not on. It's 3 o'clock kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we won't see it.
It'll be a radio commentary for me.
Excellent.
So we can just discuss the finer points.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. Well.
See you later.
Well done. See you next week.
Cheers.